So, Chris, what happened last time?
Sorry. My son just walked in and started talking.
Never mind, Birdie.
He's supposed to be asleep.
That's okay. Birdie, what happened last time?
Oh, where did I put my notes? Just a second. That's not it. Sorry, I'm crazy today. Okay, so let's see if I can do it by memory. Last time we started off where there was the giant, what did we call it? Land shark? That was wreaking havoc. And we had the goblin army. I know I have them somewhere. I'll just have to go off the top of my head.
That was a lore roll to see if Edward knows what that creature is called.
Yeah, I just remember we called it a land shark and that kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, and then we ended up going after the goblins first, figuring, well, if it comes after us, it comes after us. And it went down after the, who was it? The Griff's Bluff troops, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the Baron.
Yes. And he went smush. And we ended up being able to best the goblins. It was costly, but we were able to best them, and the men from Griff's Bluff were able to finally best the land shark. And the remaining goblins fled. And everyone's cheering for our dwarf, who bravely defeated him, and he's trying to say, no, it was the thief, and the thief is like, no, that would ruin my reputation. I didn't do it. So, yeah, the thief gave the killing blow, but he's more than happy to be anonymous. And everyone loves the dwarf in shining armor, so we've saved them and kind of implied that Countess Yestrich would be a good leader.
Yeah.
And then I think we were going to head off to aid the dwarves and defeat the evil.
Yeah, so here in a moment, we'll start back in Griff's Bluff and, any kind of goodbyes, any arrangements you want to make. But you all had the strange experience, kind of the second time of sitting at the tavern among enemies, where you just survive the battle together and you find you're not enemies anymore or estranged. All these strange people from across the Evening Lands and even other worlds. And so you all just have a meal together at the Lone Watchman Inn and have kind of by destiny just now formed this team of people, which I sent you all a list of who was at that table. I will actually. So
I'm back, by the way.
All right. So for Edward, because I think this will be useful. You probably have seen some kind of strange in the College of Lore where you studied. I don't know what those kind of things are called, but I have I don't know if this is a good example, but the Voynich manuscript, where it's like a collection of bizarre things, and you probably have seen in some grimoire or something like this that is like a land shark. It is in fact not a shark, but rather an experiment by magical crossbreeding of an armadillo, and this is the thing that matters the most about this giant creature, because it couldn't have been the goblins. It is said to be a crossbreeding between some demon from something from another plane and an armadillo, and it's a magical process. It's said that wizards do this. It's like a kind of an evil experiment that can create these things.
And so I let everybody know that creature could not have been created by the goblins. It had to be made by powerful magic. Which is not necessarily proof that it was made recently, but it would seem likely. It seems likely that these goblins have an ally, a secret ally.
So, I've lost track of the days, actually. I have to go back a little bit to see it. The 27th plus, this is the 30th day. It's unbelievable because this is like the 11th month in real time of this campaign. Almost a year soon. But it's the 30th day of the campaign since you stepped through the portal in Perrinval, in the Evening Lands.
That is crazy.
This is why I'm doing one for one time forever now, always. It's so mind-boggling. And that would make it the 14th of Good Month. Is what people say the local day is. And so still just fall. It's like October. Now, on this 14th of Good Month, you can tell me Countess Yestra will want to speak with you before she leaves. You would imagine. You wouldn't just walk out of the city and not, that's probably that is
I would think it would be, yeah, I would want to speak to her.
Yeah, and so that is a kind of to-do before you depart. But before that happens, I did want to bring one thing up, and it's totally up to you as players and characters. You do have the letter of marque from Lady Mudbelt, and
yeah. I had wanted. Go ahead.
So, very well. Where would you? Do you start your day at the Lone Watchman Inn? Is that kind of where you start, or?
I'm trying to remember real quick too from where we left off last week. Was Countess Yestri going to give us supplies, or do we need to get our own?
She's sending.
I know there was talk of silver arrows or, like improving armor or something before we left.
Oh, I missed it. Yeah. So anything from the book, you can take as much as your horse can carry, which is quite a lot.
I don't have the book, so I'd have no
sorry.
idea.
Yes.
I'm trying to find it. If someone could private message me the title, or I don't know.
The good news
hard
is
to find.
I think the equipment is in the free version, and all the things you need for your level so far, and probably by the end of the campaign, because an elf, as you've seen, is really hard to level in BX. Like elves, that's kind of like that's a legend in the history of D&D is how hard elves are to level. So I can send you the free copy, which has, I think, everything you need.
That would work.
Yeah. And it, but, so don't worry, we can set off and then, between now and next week, you can take a look at the list and decide how much you want to add to your horse.
Okay.
I will say they have one quiver of silver arrows. They don't have a arsenal of silver arrows, but you can also get all of the different mundane equipment, food, ropes, all the stuff in the list. For some reason, can't find it. It's so weird. It's it's the most used thing in the book, and I always have trouble finding it. It's so weird to me. Equipment. Okay. There's no reason I should. Okay, here it is, page 94. So they have things like grappling hooks, hammers, iron spikes, lanterns, oil, which can also act as fire grenades, sacks, stakes, tinder boxes, torches, water skins, everything from the book, and also weapons and armor. And I think your horse can carry something like 3 times what you can, or something. I can't remember, but they can carry a whole big bunch. So like if you wanted to have like a mounted, like if you wanted to have a suite of weapons, and someone was talking about having a lance. I don't know if a thief can use a lance, but you know, like if you want to have like a lance and then have a shield and sword and have a bow, you could have all that on your horse.
Can use any weapon, just no better whip armor than leather and no shield for the thieves.
Ah, that's right. I love that.
Thief almost
Backstab
seems
with a
like
lance.
category most likely to turn anything into a weapon.
That's awesome. Okay, so where would you kind of start your day? In the tavern? Is that where I should...
Well, honestly, no. We should probably we should order like a early breakfast standing, and head right on over to meet with Lady Estra, and then be on our way as soon as possible, is my feeling.
Okay. What do you all think? Oh, and who is the caller this week, actually? Let me see.
I think I was a week or two ago.
You were, yeah,
Actually, it would have been 2 or 3.
last time. So, actually, I think I have it as Ben. So I have, in recent weeks, it goes... Wait, here. Ben, Edward, Ulmer, Alara, so back to Ben. So.
All right. Well, if anybody's got any ideas for what we want to do, I'm all open to ideas. But get a good breakfast, and then what do we need? Countess Yestra needs to give us all a good send off and get all our stuff and our men, and then we're hitting the road. Is that about cover it?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
Very
The only
well.
person I met in town that I had any relationship with was a master thief who boned off south, I believe. So I doubt I'll find her anywhere.
All right. You all gather at the court of Griff's Bluff. Countess Yestra. Actually, you know what? I should actually just use her image because she's got the fanciest seat in the house now. So, here you go. We'll just stare at her. No doubt unfurled the imagery of her house in the Lord Baron's, the Marcher Lord's very keep, which she always felt was properly hers and should have answered to her anyways. And you're welcomed in by the guards, and you see a number of people, and a large table has been brought in here now. So whereas this was like just an audience chamber. Okay. This is she's prepared for this group of people for a meeting, and you see some people in armor, some of whom you don't recognize. Does seem like a great many people perished during the fighting with the goblins. For example, you do not see the Knight Marshal in attendance. You, of course, do not see the Chamberlain. But you see somebody that you do recognize, except completely different. Maybe you don't recognize him at first, but after you look at him for a while, you see again the puffy cheeks from all the many years of drinking on his face, and the scowl of the concerns and worries he's carried. But you see him cleaned up and in very fine clothes. You see Bretwald here, seated at the table, and
Our old buddy.
Yes, and seated just adjacent to Countess Yestra. And she welcomes you in, and greets you and bids you to take a seat.
We'll take a seat and
I'll bow
and
then take a.
yeah, it looks a little like so I'm sitting with the big okay, at the big table. All right.
Yeah, Ben, I'll actually say that when you pull the seat that remains is actually right next to Bretwald. When you sit down next to him, he just nods at you.
I'll kind of talk out the corner of my mouth, so guess all your prior troubles are cleared up then?
I think the opposite's true, Ben.
Oh, well.
Edward laughs.
Sorry to hear that, but she's not going to throw you in jail like the Count was he?
Worse, I'm afraid.
Or worse? Did she give you a job?
I'm the Marcher Lord.
Elmer does the sign.
Edward stands again and bows to Bretwald with a smirk on his face.
Yeah, Ben will just kind of.
Congratulations and condolences.
My condolences, yeah.
He looks sad, but with a grim sense of duty, and she says, "Good. It is, I think, best that you all depart as soon as possible. We do not know how many more agents still remain within the walls of whatever this entity was that you saw. But my retainers have searched the Chamberlain's rooms, and I regret to say that we're able to confirm that he was an agent of some sort of force across the Sergili River from a foreign land, from the lands of the traitor. And we were nearly in a civil war, merely the strings being pulled by an outside force. Our situation here is tenuous. Most of our forces are destroyed, and the goblins were not the greatest threat, but that monster that they brought in here. Given what you reported, what we've seen of the so-called spies that we have, we simply do not know what we're up against. And so we must act at once.
We couldn't agree more, my lady.
You're not from these lands. And so, if you would agree...
May I, if I may be so bold as to interrupt your ladyship, share with you something?
Everybody looks, kind of shocked that you would do that. Countess Yestra is not the sort to be interrupted, but...
Well, it may affect what she's about to say, so I'll go ahead and share with her the letter of marque now.
You just showed the papers?
Yeah.
She looks at them for a moment, looks through the papers, and she looks up and she says, "You also are a foreign agent. You're no Ealdorman of Brandonsford. You're no traveling sellsword that fell in with hobbits. But agents."
Yes.
I guess you could say agents who fell into agents who then made friends who... Yeah, I guess your point stands.
Yeah.
Being...
But our goal remains the same, which is to discover the fate of the dwarves, ultimately.
Yes.
So we need to go to the same place, but you've been so forthcoming with us, and this is the only thing left that we hadn't shared with your ladyship. It only applies to myself and Ben here. They're the only remaining members of our company that still have this mark.
Out of character, you can always add anyone you want to the mark, by the way, that wishes to be added. But
Okay.
Tharnlin at this, he says, "The fate of the dwarves? What do you mean?" You've never mentioned this to Tharnlin. And then Yestra, she says, "You see before you many representatives from all of the powers left in the Evening Lands that could stand against the traitor, and anything that resembles a loyal court that I have left, including Griff's Bluff and even Brandonsford, the Rangers of Black Oak, and others. Therefore, I would say to you, announce yourself, since you come from a foreign land and you are agents and envoys. Announce yourself to the court."
Yeah, this is not.
Yes, we are, myself and my friend Ben here, agents of Counselor, what was her? I know Mudbelt, that's the first name I always forget.
Oh,
Galby. Counselor Galby Mudbelt, the last remaining dwarf in all of Paranval City. Paranval City is going through a political upheaval, and she was arrested just as we passed through a magical portal that sent us here to the Evening Lands, where we first met Good Knob here. And since that time, we've been embroiled in the affairs of this world, and this land. But nonetheless, we've never forgotten our ultimate goal, which has always led in the direction that we needed to go here, and so it was never a conflict. And it's still not a conflict. But Counselor Mudbelt does not know what happened to her people, and the dwarves are needed to rebuild the walls of Paranval City, much in the same way that the walls of Brandonsford need to be rebuilt. And no one remains who knows the art of building those walls. And so, we're here.
Like you said, yeah. And let me just also be clear. It's like, yes, we're agents of a foreign land, but before that, I guess you could say the interests of this foreign power do not only align with my own. I'll speak for myself to the extent that I am seeking really the good of all who would follow, I guess, the light, the thrice blessed, whatever you want to refer to them as, the well-being of all good people. It so happened that Counselor Mudbelt seemed to be kind of in line with those same ultimate goals, so I was more than happy to put my limited resources to that. Not, to be honest, I'm not from that place either. But my loyalties are to the common good, I guess you could say. And as we fell in here with the good people of Brandonsford, I found no better common good to strive for. And so if any true loyalties are to be found, maybe it's to Brandonsford. And luckily, as I'm sure you can see if you've gotten to know our good hobbits here.
Yes, I can say with all good intent and honesty that I have more connection to the good folk of Brandonsford than I have had with anyone since I was pulled from my own home years ago.
And
An older
whether I ever get back to this,
says, "Oh wait, go ahead."
whether I ever get back to this Paranval City or not, I'm here now, and I want what's best for where I'm at and for all the good people I've encountered along the way.
An old woman says, "What do you mean your own world?"
We both were pulled from other worlds again. We're 3 worlds deep, it would seem. My home is, I know not how far from here, and how many magical gates I would have to pass through to ever see it again. But it's been so long that I've learned to accept that I may never see it again, indeed. And so this place is my home. Wherever I am, wherever, as Ben said, the light and the good people are, I try to make my home.
One of the surviving acolytes says, "That's blasphemy. There's only this world under the watch of the Allfather. There's not other worlds except the underworld and the world above."
Well, that may be, and perhaps I'm delusional. I would merely ask your ladyship to judge me by my deeds.
A world or a land so far away to be as essentially as easy to get to. I couldn't say, but
Alara,
the goals are the same.
You would know the acolyte is wrong. That is one of the many things that the humans kind of have lied to themselves about for a very long time. That there are other worlds.
But we're surrounded by humans right now.
Yes.
I do
Poor
believe
Alara.
that
'Cause
we have already seen things we cannot explain, whether there be worlds or other. Who's to say? I am from this one, but that creature that attacked is unexplained. There are other things that are unexplained. Whether they are from this world or another is also unexplained. But together we can find answers.
Knob, he looks over to Ben and he says, "Why didn't you tell me all this?"
Or if it came up or not. But
This is what I remember is very vague. Like you basically said you were from a very, very far away land. But all these details, no, I don't think that was ever brought up.
no, I'm pretty sure I didn't, but that would be my story to Knob. And like I was saying, whether it's another world or a place so far away that it might as well be another world, your good people were the first ones to make an impression that a place that where the majority of the people are worth working for, fighting for.
Also, Nob, if I may say, both things can be true at once, and the fact that we showed up where you hoped we would, I don't take to be a coincidence. And so I believe everything you do about why we showed up. And I've believed it ever since, and that's one of the reasons I feel like Brandonsford is more a home to me even than Perrinval City, as much love as I may bear to Lady Mudbelt, my patron. But Brandonsford is, I wear this with pride, I say, and I hold up the symbol of the Aldermen. We are the Aldermen of Brandonsford.
He says, "You are. It's true." Countess Yestra says in response to Alara, then, "Yes. And I can see that my captain, Ayana," and she's like, has her arms crossed behind her head, is also getting impatient. She'll join you as my liaison. I suggest an alliance, then, since, as it turns out, whether we did not expect it, or whether we knew it or not, that this is actually a table of many different powers in the Evening Lands, and that much like with the War of the Traitor, elves, hobbits, aliens, and man have come together to stop the Unman and the Traitor again. So, an alliance. That is what I propose. An alliance to march into the East Kingdoms of Keller Raz, the last remnants of the Dwarves, to find what I think is one of the ancient towers of the Elder Ones from the Elder Days. And whatever is in that tower, to put an end to it. or hopefully at least delay things.
With me, there's no doubt, your ladyship. What else could we do but accept and go forward together with renewed hope?
Nob says, the Hobbits of the Commonwealth commit themselves to this alliance. And, yeah.
This plan, as you called me, agrees. And I'll to the merchant lord under my breath, like, the new merchant lord's like, and you thought you got a raw deal.
And then I suppose everyone sort of in turn looks to Helmer Westernell of Westernell, who is now the knight captain, the knight commander of all of the remaining forces of the Church of the Thrice Blessed. You have the surviving, let's see, 5 knights under your command with you, and they are all that is left.
Homer stands up and he bows and says, "You have our sword." And sits down.
Your captain is not here with you, Cenarian, so the only person that can speak for the Rangers is Alara. And
Now, out of character, if I remember right, you said an elf or two from the Rangers may join the group.
yeah, you have an elf that you know, Adiralon Orakana, has your captain left with you. But you're in charge.
Okay. We too shall join this alliance and see this thing done. Another elf. How did you say his name? Adiralon. Will be joining us too on this quest.
He smiles, and then the lights dance in his eyes, and then he sort of looks around the room at other things, and then lastly, everybody kind of looks at Tharnlin. Tharnlin pushes his chair back, stands up, and he says, "It would have been good for all of this to do about going into dwarven lands with the force of every other group of people in this continent, to maybe let the dwarves know, or one dwarf. But I suppose that the dwarves will do what we've always done, and act like a shield of stone against the things across that river. I'll be at the horses." And then he storms out of the room without actually answering the question. He seems very upset.
Helmer's not too important here, so he stands up and he kind of bows and hurries after Tharlin. He's gonna go sit with him, bring him some booze, and let him rant.
All right. Countess Yestra then nods toward a retainer who seems perhaps to be the new Chamberlain, to draft some papers, which and she gives you your mark back, and she says, "I wish you the best on whatever the strange mission is that you have, but I can hope to the Thrice Blessed that a miracle can happen and a new evening doesn't come. Or at least we can delay it a little longer." And she stands, so everybody else stands up, and she leaves the room first. And then you're left in the room with all these people. So I'm gonna pan over for a second to Helmer. run out of the room after Tharnlin. And Tharnlin, he's going to the stables to get his horse ready and get everything ready to go. Actually, let me go just to Griff's Bluff then. And he says, "Are you done with all that pomp in there also, Helmer?" He's just getting his horse ready. Right.
Yes, I am very much, and I brought this.
Oh, don't you have like a... Oh, you already drank it. Somebody had magic dwarven ale or something like that.
Somebody had magic booze, but it wasn't...
Laura, I
wasn't
think.
me.
But so I think you all drank it. You had to. Something happened. But anyways, okay. You have some booze, and he looks at it and he's like, "Well, I was thirsty," and he drinks it, and he says, "I hate to tell you, Helmer, but I think your future is going to be full of a lot of that. Banners and streamers and people tooting their own horns and standing in stone rooms and talking to dainty music and pretending to be something they're not every hour of the day. How you can stand to be just a third taller than me, but not nearly as dwarf, I cannot. I wouldn't be able to live as humans do."
He takes a big draw and kind of sighs and goes, "Oh, well, I do like banners."
Ah. What good do banners do?
They do that flip, 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 flip thing, and just takes another drink, hands it to him.
Yeah, he's getting his horse ready, and he's like, "I can't believe I thought they were my friends, Helmer. But they were comrades. We'll see this through to the end. The dwarves will do their part, as always. But I started to think they were my friends."
Helmer punches him in the shoulder. "Of course they're still your friends. They never told me either. I didn't ask." "Did you ask?"
They're spies. They said it themselves. How can someone say they're... How can someone not be a spy when they say they are? They stood right there in front of the court. I've been with them for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks. They didn't say that they were here to find out about the dwarves, with a dwarf right with them the whole time.
I can't say I recall whether or not they have.
I could have sworn he was standing around when we were talking about it with when when your other character was still around, because Tharnlin was when Dave was playing Tharnlin, he was around for a couple of sessions. I don't know if we ever mentioned it explicitly, but we certainly talked about the fate of the dwarves, at least amongst ourselves. I don't know if we did it explicitly in character. But...
Yeah, because when he showed up, you guys were like, "A dwarf? Where were you?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? We're fine. That's a stupid question."
Right.
I'm pretty sure it came up.
I think it came up, but he may not have understood the gravity of what we were actually saying.
Yeah, no, I don't think that the conversation sort of went into that, like that this was this grand kind of quest specifically for his people. I don't think that was something that was talked about. I could be wrong, but I do know what you're talking about, though, because he brought up where he was from. He said Carnvaldar, and I had to kind of feed those lines because he didn't know the lore, right? But yes. So he feels betrayed that there was this whole operation this whole time to try to get in among dwarven lands to spy on them and figure out about them. And certainly you all have been busy, but that would have, to him, been the substance of campfire and tavern talk. But anyways, I'll pan back to you all. So you have here Bretwald, you have Captain Ayana, who also leaves the room. and comes out to the stables as well and nods to Homer and Tharnlin and starts getting her horse ready, as well as who is it?
Adaralon?
Anjali Jalindali. Anjali. Now these are knights of the Thrice Blessed. Well, first of all, the officers, kind of your Lieutenant Athalia, she stays with you as well, so she'll leave. And well, I guess so. All the knights will actually leave. Anjali, Daniel, Lobo, and Pavla. Adoralon, he is kind of floats over to Edward and starts kind of pointing out all the things in the room, and he says, "You see the filigree on the walls, around the windows. Those are at least 200 years old, I think. They're quite beautiful."
Yes, indeed.
And just keeps pointing out things like that in the building that whether you would have noticed them or not before. All of these enduring marks of beauty and touches of love that have been put into the keep. And that's where... And then you've got Countess Yestra and her entourage have left, and Bretwald and assorted retainers. But I suppose no one else of importance except Bretwald. What do you do?
Good question.
When you guys are like, you guys come out, Helmer kind of looks at you guys like with, you know, like kind of wide eyes, and then kind of does like a little head, subtle head nod to Tharlin, and then just kind of does it.
Oh, Tharlin.
Oh, okay. You guys are gonna come out to the
Yeah, it's like after sitting around, Ben would just feel awkward in such high company at a fancy dinner after a while. After people are leaving, it's like, yep, I don't know what to do in fancy company. I guess
I'm gonna put it like
enjoy yourselves.
some nice, pretty Griff's Bluff art up here. There we go. Okay.
Right back momentarily.
Gotcha. All right. Sorry. What does Ben say?
I lost the train, but
Sorry.
no, it's okay. Tharlin, yeah, I didn't realize that we were misleading you, so to speak. So everything I said in there about the common good.
Right. Yes, it's the common good.
I'm
yes,
including. I want to know what.
Go ahead. Yes.
To be fair, I've been concerned what happened to your people, and I was under the impression there was other ones, not your people, that you didn't know about. Maybe I was misinformed. So your people are still holding down the good fight over there, right?
I'm sure it was all a misunderstanding. You come into a magic portal from two different worlds. Let me find the dwarves, you say. And you come into the world and you say, let's form an alliance of every person on this planet except for the dwarves. And let's go march on dwarven land.
Well, to be fair, Thunlin, you're the only dwarf we've really known in this place, and even you have been surprised and dismayed with the quality of dwarves we've met in our travels. So clearly something has gone wrong terribly somewhere.
He slams his fist into one of the wooden supports of the stable, splintering it partially. It seems like his body is almost like different, like it's his complexion's kind of red, and his veins look kind of different, he looks almost kind of stony, right? Like this dwarf does. And he turns around to you angrily, and he says, I am proud of my people. And you don't know what the dwarves have done. How the people of Thungaradrum have stood on the Sangili River for now 20 years. How the lies were spread here in human lands. That it was the humans. That it was that martyr lord who was the hero of that battle. That had drove them across the bridge and sealed the bridge. And was dwarfs.
Well, you're right. I simply don't know. However, I can tell you the only person that I ever felt close to in Perenval was a dwarf, and the only dwarf there. In any case, it's imperative that we be friends.
Be fair,
Going forward.
as you were saying, I do regret that if we kept anything from you, it wasn't out of any sort of lack of trust. Because I'll be upfront with you, what you say about your people and what I would put above the word of any of the humans in there, and I'm speaking as a human, I would trust the word of you as a dwarf and the other dwarf I've met above anybody in that room, hands down. So if anything I've done would give you an impression that my loyalties would be to these highfalutin people rather than my comrade in arms and the people you claim to represent, rather than these, like you said, people trying to seem all fancy and important. For that, I could not apologize more if I gave you the impression that and their word would mean any more to me than what you say is the truth about what your people have done.
He looks back to Edward. He says, we can work together. But friends, they share these things with each other. And then he gets on his horse. He trots over to Alara. And then he says, kind of leans over and he's like, don't take it personally, Alara. I admire you a lot. You slew a lot of goblins. But it might be best for you and your friend if we avoided Thungaradrum and kept a wide berth, kept going on to Karnbaldar, and then maybe we should camp outside and they shouldn't see you there either. It's not very friendly to elves up there.
Thanks for the warning, my friends. We shall do our best to keep a low profile.
And let's see. Your lieutenant, Helmer, Athalia Zafra. She, you know that something about your people is they love music a lot and art. And Athalia has sworn an oath, taken an oath, that until this evil is defeated, she shall not write or sing another song. She comes over to, you can see her kind of kick on Jolly, and like, you know, because Anjali was kind of taking a break, I guess, and she's like, all right, let's go, you know, and then she comes up to you and she says, Right. What are your orders, Captain? To Helmer.
Oh, to Helmer.
Yeah. This is so you have 5. Well, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have got 2, 3, 4. You have 5. Yes, you have 5 knights of the Thrice Blessed. I'll just introduce them. These are kind of the new people. Okay, you've got, first of all, Adoralon is a Black Oak Ranger. He seems kind of like distant and flighty and cheerful all the time. And then you have Captain Ayana, who is actually a Rebeccan, and is very irreverent. And this is already starting to cause some irritation among a couple of your knights, because some of your knights are a little more pious than others, and Ayana doesn't seem to be very religious at all. And then you have Athalia, who is your like second in command, and kind of a ranked knight, and Anjali, who is like what can I say about her? Maybe kind of impulsive and outwardly religious, constantly speaks in kind of like the religious parlance of the knights. Daniel, who, despite that scowly face, is like the sweetest man you've ever met. Like, and constantly everything is getting done with everybody, and Daniel's just quietly doing it behind the scenes and never tells anybody, and you know. But he has night terrors, and he wakes up screaming in the middle of the night.
Oh.
And Lobo, who still sings and did not swear an oath against singing. And he's got a really beautiful singing voice. And so when you all have prayers, Lobo is usually the pick. And it really just makes the heart, just like, you know, when Lobo is leading them. And Abla. These are all of your knights. And I apologize, my Tagalog is not like, when I say my Tagalog, I mean it's like non-existent. Like I don't know how to, you know, despite living over in that part of the world for a while, I don't know how to say Tagalog names or words that well. Pablo is kind of hot-blooded, is the thing to know about her, and very cautious, like has kind of a what do you call it, negativity bias, and then is more likely to get really angry real quick, and it has been one of the ones who's really had a hard time putting up with Ayana. Okay, that's my Helmer briefing. Here's a whole bunch of complications for this trip. Yay! Yeah, it's, you know, starting out kind of rough and weird. You've got all these people, and you know, Athalia, for example, I think respects Ayana, because you all have already fought together. You've even drank together, right? Like after you've spent time together. I think everyone, it's hard not to like Adoralon and Lobo, but not Squints, but Tharnlin is in a horrible mood. So it's an icy departure.
Sounds like the perfect time for a song.
Nice. What's the song?
The Ballad of Brandon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I will give you your, let's just start with like, okay, so let's start with this.
As soon as we start.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
As soon as we start riding, like once we're past the buildings and on the open road is when I would take up the song. You know, we're not in battle, so I can probably guide the old horse with the knees and something, and play while we're riding, and we'll just. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say any words. I'm just gonna start playing the strains of it and singing the song. I might elbow Knob a little bit.
Yeah, Knob actually can sing pretty well, but he sets it aside as Lobo joins you and knows it perfectly, and Lobo harmonizes with you just perfectly to where this is like this is your. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and I think Athalia probably looks over to Homer, smiles, and Adoralon, who's riding next to Alara, leans over and says in Elvish, he says, "This is something from the heart for them, and that makes it more painful that it has lies within it, like weeds among the flowers."
And then I quietly whisper in Elvish back, "Yes, but it brings encouragement to the group, and it lifts the spirit and the morale. Indeed, not everything sung is always true."
And not everything that has things that are not exactly correct are not always entirely untrue. And it is lifting my heart. He smiles broadly. He loves this stuff. He likes, that Adolaron likes wine and song and nice things. And
I make sure to I make sure to share out a few pints of wine.
Yeah. Okay. I think that this is a great time to use the mechanic. I don't know how to interpret the result of the mechanic yet. But we'll just take it we'll just take it, as we go. So they just get a save, right? Save versus magic.
It's a 30-foot radius, and a group includes basically every NPC. I'm going to try to center myself. It's not a mechanical thing. I'd want to be heard the best I could by as many as possible.
Sure.
And
by all of them, yeah.
And then so they must save versus spells or be fascinated. As follows: they become rapt. Their attention fully bent on my performance as long as it continues. Fascinated subjects will follow, although I'm not leading them off the path or anything. If its performance is interrupted by loud noise or violence, fascination ends immediately. So, they're friends. I can, if they stay fascinated for long enough, then they're charmed. But that's not really my goal is obviously nothing malicious. It's simply to instill inspiration, and also a reminder that the story we're partaking in now is the same story of Sir Brandon, and his sword travels with us, and it's slain a dragon, and it's saved a city, and now it goes to save the whole land.
All right. And is it a save versus magic?
Yeah.
So here's how I'm gonna rule it. If they fail, no, this would be if they pass, which would be bad. If they pass would be bad. If they pass, then their hearts remain hardened, and at the moment of irritation, which may occur during the journey, you may have an incident that you'll have to deal with among your alliance. So hopefully they all fail, right? Let's see. So, starting with Knob. Spells. He's pretty good, actually. Okay, so Knob passes, which is bad. Squints. Fails, which is good. The next one is a Duralon Oracana. He is really good at it. So elves are like awesome. Oh, no, wait, no, he's bad at it, actually. And he does fail. Which makes perfect sense for him. He's like so into this. And just absolutely loves the music and your song. Captain Ayana. Oh my gosh, does she fails, which makes sense. So she's really happy with it. Now let's get into like some harder cases. Tharnlin. Tharnlin passes.
No surprise.
He's still cranky.
Do you like to use a token?
As my 3-year-old would say, "Are you wumpy?"
Well, not anymore.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Athalia. There's
Oh,
something.
yeah, say
Yeah. Passes. Something's up with Athalia. And Anjali fails, which is good. I'm only going to do this. I know this is taking some time, but this will matter when it matters, is one of those things. Daniel fails. That makes perfect sense. Lobo, that does not make sense, but perhaps there's something going on with Lobo that we don't know. Because he passes. And lastly, there's the hot-blooded and cautious Pabla. And she actually, you find that this she smiles and hums along as well, and you see her just like smiling. And yeah, so this has a really good effect on the group. Now, you were traveling to Karnbaldar to find the Tower of the Elders, is what she called it, right? Alara, you have never been there, but you know about these towers, which we've talked about before. You have not been to this one. This is Tharnlin's homeland, so he can essentially guide you without fault. And you, in addition to that, there is literally a road. So like you have a one-dimensional so I don't think getting lost is very likely or possible at all. Unless for some reason you have to leave the road. So I don't think you have to choose your direction or navigate unless you get lost. So, and then, let's see. It is nice weather on top of that. And then, lastly, you do not encounter anything during your journey. And I think horses, how far do they go in a day? 48 miles? Let's see here. This is the riff. I don't like how these are separate. That's why I like the classic one more.
Riding horse goes 48. Draft horse goes 18.
48. So you go 48 miles. Let me see how many hexes that is. You go 8 hexes. You travel along the Pilgrim's Road for a day. You pass the signs of battle. The scarred, muddy earth. The dead bodies piled of goblins and even people. And let's see. It is a strange and uncomfortable juxtaposition that this area is in fall. It's in autumn. And yet it is full of the signs of battle. Until you get about halfway through the day. So it's currently now maybe 3 p.m., 4 p.m. And you make it into a clear area. And you see I don't have any art, so I'm just going to scribble here on the drawing pad. What you see. There are... Whoops. There are dead goblin bodies everywhere here. And these, and they're bloated and swollen. There are dead wargs on their side. And these, some of them missing, they're kind of like, they look like they've been eviscerated. And they, this was not part of the battle.
So you say they've been eviscerated. Does it look like, I mean, before we get too close, what, like, just one, so it was like blades, or like animals have gotten into them too much that it's hard to tell at this point, or what can you tell about how messed up they are?
Anjali whispers over toward Athalia and Helmer and says, "All Father, protect us. Whatever did this, maybe we shouldn't get closer for now. Maybe we should send someone else ahead to look first." And to answer your question, even from this distance, you can see that like there's a goblin with like half of its lower portion missing. But it doesn't look like it was eaten. It looks like it was ripped apart. And some of them look like they were ripped apart.
This looks fairly fresh.
Yeah. In the past few days, which is not fresh. It smells, they're bloated. But, like...
Bad, like they've been here for a while?
It's not like they've been here a week. They're not greasy spots. They're their bodies. Yeah.
Gotcha.
If we were to look at the surrounding area, would we see evidence of anything else coming or going? Or just the tracks from the goblins? Because I'm guessing they would have tramped down the grass, or there could have been things broken, bent.
Yeah, roll a d6, and on a 3 and 6, you'll be able to detect tracks and kind of the comings and goings of things nearby. 3 and 6,
Ooh.
There you go. So, yeah. Off the sides of the trails, you're able to simply look. You all have been alive for centuries. You're able to just, and you have done your job for decades. You just look at Adoralon and you're able to just execute, and you go off to the sides and you can see that indeed there are drag marks and there are footprints. Some of the footprints look, and the thing that is really strange, you can see a set of footprints, and one of the footprints is the footprint of a man. The other footprint is the footprint of a beast, but they are together. And these are the tracks that you can see coming and going either side, and there are also drag marks and things like that too, and blood.
So it's just the footprints of 2 individuals, though.
It's one individual, but with 2 different footprints.
It would appear this might be the work of another creature, unidentified.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
That's shared with the group or just between the elves?
No, that would be shared with the group.
So something dragged them onto the path. We should probably not walk through them. That sounds like it's some sort of trap.
It looks part like it might be part man, but part not. But it wasn't a large force that swept through here. It was one thing or individual.
You can
Dragged
see
all these corpses into the road.
To be clear, there are multiple tracks.
Oh, so there's multiple of these things.
Yeah, and some of them look
Okay.
like, people. Like it looks like footprints. But one of them, I'm just pointing out, like one of them is really bizarre because it's one set of prints, like two peds bipedal, but one of them is of a beast and one of them of a man.
Like one leg is monster and one leg is not.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that would rip up a bunch of goblins and set up an ambush, if you ask me.
Well, maybe the knight. What? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, he had him. Ben.
How, I mean, do we want to how hard would it be to kind of go around or this, where the general area where all the corpses are? I mean, maybe we should kind of scout the area, make sure there's not an ambush, but I don't know. It seems something about them dragging all these bodies and throwing them in the road essentially makes either they're trying to set something up or send some sort of message.
Do the footprints from the people and the creatures head off in a specific direction, or do they just kind of intermingle and disappear?
It does look like something. So it looks like something came into the road, killed these things, tore them apart, dragged some of them off, and left.
But I guess like she said, do the drag marks go in one general direction?
Ah, yes. They do appear to go to your right, which is to the south.
Okay, well, I think we need to be on alert for an ambush for whatever killed these goblins.
This, by the way, for your reference, is just... you've been here before. You traveled here to entreat with Ardak the Grim. But at one point you had to turn south into what was called the Brigglewood. Instead of turning south, you continued along the road. This is a little bit past that intersection.
The goblins that we entreated with before, being beset on by some sort of chaos beast thing. It's half got a foot of a man and a beast together. That sounds like chaos stuff. Oof. I guess, do we just kind of skirt around it and head on? Keep on alert? Do you might got any other ideas? Unless you want to examine the bodies a little bit more and see if there's any... I mean, I don't know that we're going to get a lot of good salvage from a bunch of ripped to pieces goblins, but if anybody wants to, feel free.
I say we move on.
Leave
kinda
as
what
little
I'm thinking.
disturbance in the area as possible and just keep going.
Homer gets the knights to kind of flank the party with the shields up, just in case anything comes from the sides.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
All right, you form a kind of mounted, like a phalanx, or at least putting on either side of it. And the road here is wide enough, as you have... Now, Helmer, you've been this way before as well. This is the Pilgrim's Road. It's going to the Broken Dragon Shrine. And you're about to cross the second great bridge of a major river that leads into a lake called the Beaver Lake, and this is called Beaver Run, this large river here. and there's this grand bridge. So the road widens, and you continue on until night falls. And night falls for you, or gets close to it, just after you cross the bridge of Beaver Run. Helmer, you would know that means you're about 24 miles south of the Broken Dragon Shrine, which is the last way station before you continue into the Black Spine Mountain Hills, the foothills.
Great. Start setting up camp, I guess.
All right, you all you set up camp.
I guess take watches, trying to keep our elves. You guys are gonna be probably better at hearing stuff, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
You got
I don't
have
think we have
separate
night
watches.
vision, but yeah, no, we do have
Better.
infravision up to 60 feet.
And you hear really good. So I mean, I can hear pretty well too. But we're out in the wilds. You guys are gonna
This is
probably
our
hear
thing,
better.
probably.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
So let's.
And
kinda
we have
put
a
you
bow,
guys-
so if need be, we can try to take something out at range if we had to.
Yeah. But I think you
The,
should take separate shifts just so we spread out our elf ears.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably got the next best hearing after the elves, so we'll have. I don't know how many shifts we need to do, but we need to
I
probably
could take
have.
first, and Adaralan could take second.
Oh, nice. Your musical check helped with that. Very nice. It was a good decision to put on the musical performance you did, because I just did a check, and you noticed something, Edward. And I think at least Helmer would notice this as well. The problem is that Ayana does not. She is an effective warrior, fighter, but she has no sense of propriety or, I don't know, like military custom, if you will, like, so like. And she also just says whatever she thinks. And so she's been eager to make jokes about Griff's Bluff, probably at a bad time. Everyone is taking it really well, except Pabla. And you see Pabla just about to explode, but you can tell in her eyes that something had given her a reservoir of strength. And she grits her teeth. You can see, like, Athalia and Lobo about to intervene, but Pabla balls her fists after kind of Ayana makes a joke about Griff's Bluff and how uptight everybody is or something, and she goes back to setting up camp, and nothing happens. And the next day, the sun rises.
I make a practice not of putting on a performance all the time, but of just lightly strumming, the chord progression. So people don't ever let it go out of their, I want them humming it to themselves.
Right. You can do that. You can do the song again, and I will only roll for.
I didn't. Okay, yeah, I didn't want to be accused of.
No, I think this is great.
Of cheesing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no. I feel like we're working together on it. I don't feel like you're cheesing it. I feel like we're.
All right. Well, in that case, if I feel it will bolster things and keep things good, then I'm going to go ahead and, it probably would, magic or no, improve people's mood around the campfire. It might not be a dire journey otherwise.
Which song do you sing this time?
I think "See a Goblin Throw a Rock" in response to finding the carnage. Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see.
In response to the song, I'll tap my spoon on a rock and offer somebody a rock. It's like, anybody want a rock?
So you are singing as you go along, and you see the birds lighting for migration from the vast lake that is the Whitewash Hold far off in the distance. The looming, it's like the Rocky Mountains, right? Like this jutting, jagged, icy, huge wall off in the distance from where you are is the Black Spine Mountains. And you're still on this road, you've crossed a bridge, and eventually you come to something that Ben and, I mean, Helmer recognizes this and some of the others, but Ben and Edward, this is where the portal opened from Perrinval City, and you first met Nob, the Broken Dragon Shrine again, that was raised in honor of Griff, who slew the dragon Wrath, supposedly with the sword that was taken from you by the demon.
Well, I'll point to Nob. Right there is where it all began, my friend.
Indeed.
None of this would have happened without you.
Thank you. If you would have told me this was happening 2 months ago, I would have been worried about you. But here we are. Here I am, traveling across the evening lands. A lot has happened, and I'm only going to re-roll for the people that passed, to see if that helped them. And then
In the night, go ahead.
And then if these incidents come up, it'll have to restart. That's how I'm going to do it. So he fails, which is good. Tharnlin. So Tharnlin's kind of lightening up a little bit. Go ahead, actually. Helmer, what were you going to say?
Well, in the night, once she's done setting stuff up, Helmer finds Pablo, gives her like the Helmer punch in the shoulder, and leans in and says, "Self-control is a great virtue of a knight. Thank you for showing me that." And then he walks away.
She smiles out of the side of her mouth. And that was awesome. Let's see here.
Foster the troops.
Oof. Lobo passes. Everybody else fails. Oh, wait, and I... actually, because you said that, Pablo... No, I'll have to roll for her. Let me see. And it goes... And she fails, which is good. Alright. Awesome. And, let's see. So that puts you all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tharnlin, he says, "We're just a day's travel south of Thangara-Drum, the greatest dwarven settlement that remains with the fall of Kera-Raz. Those who hold the bridge across the Sergili River, not allowing whatever is on the other side to cross. It's said that the Sergili River is poisonous. Whatever it is, the things on the other side in the blasted wasteland that you see there, they don't cross by water. They never have. So that one bridge remains the only crossing that we know of."
Should some of us pay a visit?
Well, they're not very fond of elves, you see. Or hobbits. Or humans.
Oh, is that the
I see.
Bridgetown? Right. Yeah.
They have a relationship from a long time ago. Dwarves remember things from longer ago than what humans do. It endures with them longer. And he glares at Ben and Edward. So to the gentry of Thangara-Drum, they probably would be amicable to work with humans that come in, especially representing Griff's Bluff. But I'd be worried about our rangers. Let's see.
Well,
We would be happy to stay with the hobbits and protect them.
I'm sorry to have to miss it. Perhaps one day I'll be able to see the grandeur myself.
Do we need to at least send a token announcement that we're just so they don't consider us? I don't know.
They have way
Well-
stations along the roads. I'll talk to them.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to cross the bridge, right? So
Right. So, what kind of permission do we need to cross the bridge? I guess is we don't want to intrude on their territory, so to speak. But I don't know that we're going to be able to. Sneaking by is probably not as much as it goes towards my instincts. Probably not the best idea if we can. We don't want to seem suspicious, I guess, or untrustworthy.
If you think you
Yeah.
can survive out in that wilderness with what we found out there, then we can try the long way around. I doubt anyone would stop us at that. And trying to ford the river with these horses. But there'd be no need of scouting ahead and sending someone ahead and sending a message with this person and that and this and that. That's not how we work. If we're going to travel through their lands, we ride up to them, look them in the face, and tell them what's going on.
simpler that way anyway.
Aye.
And safer, too, I think.
I agree. I'm sure your folk are trustworthy.
You you all pass beyond the broken dragon shrine, the holiest site in the evening lands for the faith of the thrice blessed, and the site, the main site of pilgrimage for the eponymous Pilgrim's Road, where everybody comes and goes, and the site has seen some defacement, some sacrilege, but it is still intact. And that probably fills you all with some hope, that is to say, at least your knights. And, well, do you want to do anything at the shrine before, before you continue on?
Helmer will take the knights over to have a quiet moment, and let's see, who is it? And he'll stand beside Captain Anne and kind of give her a little nudge.
Anne?
The irreverent one, that kind of like, okay, right, shut up, do the thing.
Oh, Ayana, like don't,
Yeah.
like hey,
Yeah.
And she looks at like everybody else is
Eyes.
like everybody else does this and like bows, and then you're looking at her and she's just like this, and you're like, do it, and she's like, and she does the thing, Knob has learned. Knob does it. Probably no one else does it though. And
Edward will give it a shot.
Edward will do the claw. Okay.
Yeah, the claw.
He does the claw.
Then I'll be like, oh, sure, okay, after kind of following everybody else up. Okay, yeah, don't want to be left out.
And
I will whisper a silent, not a prayer exactly, but just a promise or something to Counselor Mudbelt. I mean, I don't know how the magic of these portals works or anything, but in any case, it's the closest we're likely to get to her. The closest we've been since we got here. We haven't been back to this place, so.
You hear a whisper. Like, I'm sorry, let me clarify. You whisper, like a promise, like, whatever it is, we promise to see our duty.
We haven't forgotten about you, and we hope to see you soon.
Alara, this has an effect that that humans and others would not recognize, that there are these places where things are thin and you're able to do things, and this is one such place, and you can kind of sense it, and then something really uncomfortable happens, Alara. Let me see. Lara, suddenly you have a vision. This is something like you're magical. Elves are magical. You have spells and things. This is a ugly, uncomfortable vision. You see a hallway, which at first feels as if there are these lines like a grid and then nothingness all around you, as if you're tumbling into a never-ending void. And then the lines, you realize, are not the object, but rather the nothing is actually a hall, and the lines represent the never-ending continuance of this thing. And you get this vision of hearing the voices of your friends, all of them in different states, some of them in states of what you think might be madness, some of them in states of horror or pain of your companions. And although you are all next to each other, you feel completely separate from one another. And you have this vision, and all of a sudden you just come to again.
I like the way you sang the music there. That was cool.
Oh yeah, it did that. Yeah. Yeah, and you look over and Adoralon. It's clear that he is connected to that. You probably, I don't know if you would have noticed or known this, but the whisper of a promise was what brought that about. But it was a vision, you know, of what you don't know.
Probably something that I'll just try to act normal, I guess, and then ponder. Did you say that Adoralon had the same vision as well?
Yeah, you look over and you can tell that he had the same. He had a vision as well. When you confer with him, the details are the same.
Edward's already getting back on his horse. Glances over at the elves. You two okay? Are you well?
Yes, it's just certain places such as this have unique properties, as I'm sure you know. They are
now
different.
Now that our whole backstory's out of the bag, this, just in case anybody didn't, this is where we popped out over here. So
It's hardly surprising that it should be so.
yeah, this is where it all started, like he said with Knob. This is where he found us, and where apparently we were meant to be.
Seems like almost a year ago.
Yeah, weird how that. Only 2 weeks, crazy. 2 months, maybe I
For
forget.
30 days.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Here we are. You start your trek up into the Black Spine Mountains. And unfortunately, it is in this freezing place high in the mountaintops along this old road that the dwarves had hewn in between them that darkness falls on you. You do. You're on a road, you know, and it's not like on a cliff face, you know. It's just in between. Like if you've driven into the Rocky Mountains, these things just tower up above you on either side, and you're just on a road down that has been cut in between them.
Are there any?
Say,
Oh, sorry. I was
spot
just
to
gonna ask if
camp, is that
there's,
what you're-
yeah, any places to tuck into or use to shield from the wind or
Sure.
ice.
The rangers are easily able to find an overhang, a very short, shallow cavern. Doesn't go any deeper, but you're able to
Good.
set up a fire there if you wish. And it is not a comfortable night, but it is at least a safe one. And let's see how things go tonight. They go well tonight.
Every time we have to camp inside of a cave in a mountain, I always think, down, down the goblin town, down, down. Oh,
And
my love.
it is not a comfortable night's sleep, but the night passes. And let's see, I roll. I actually forgot that. Nice. You all have been very lucky. You continue on for miles. It takes
Song again.
A song again. Okay. Well, let's see. The only other person who has passed is Lobo. And let's see. Lobo passes. Lobo fails. So now everyone has failed. Everything is going too well. Which is, you know.
The calm before the storm, I'm sure.
All right. Let's see here. I said I refuse to change it, though, but it's like, man, this is going really well. So let's see here. And you pass after your third day of travel on, let's see, the 15th, 16th, 17th of good month. Eventually back down. It starts going down again into the foothills on the other side. What is the north side of the Black Spine Mountains? And off in the distance, because you're like high up, you can see off in the distance this river valley stretching off to your right front, which is like to the east, and you see far off beyond the river what looks like haze, and the strangest thing happens immediately on the other side of the river. It looks almost like Badlands. And it looks like it's been drained of life. And sitting, you can see on the side of the river at one point, is obviously a settlement. A brutalist and rugged looking settlement of very utilitarian and ugly structures. And you can see dotted along the river valley, there's a few other places. And he points to the thing on the river. He says, "That's Thangara Droom. The humans called it Bridgetown before the war. Most of the dwarves of the Evening Lands live there now, in squalor. An eternal watch against those things across the river. I think our best bet is to continue on the road. Don't visit the gentry, and tell the watchmen along the village into the Gemthrone wilderness. Tell them our business, that we're all envoys from the south. Do not lie, and do not hide things, and do not try to mislead. That would be my advice."
If that's where most of the dwarves are, just if we were to say want to free up some dwarves to reclaim some heritage and build some awesome walls, our best bet is to give these dwarves a reprieve from their eternal watch to hold back the darkness on the other side. Is that all it takes? Oh.
You'd need to talk to the gentry. The thing about the gentry of Thangara Droom is they've set aside the traditions of the dwarves, the stone magic. They don't do it anymore. They live as humans do. Some of them even take human names. He spits. No offense.
None take. Most of us, sir.
Helmer laughs.
No offense. There he looks around.
But that's why Carnbaldar was established. Just after the war, the gentry, when it was clear they had set aside their ways, I think I have a name for it out of character. It's called no, that's not what it is. I thought I had a word for the dwarven ways, but I can't find it. I have up my thing here for it. But anyways, he says, they don't keep our ways, so we established Carnbaldar. Now, the people of Carnbaldar don't mine, and we don't do stone magic, but we're working on it. And we're reclaiming the mines of the Gemthrone.
Stone magic, you say?
Aye. My people, they can listen to stones. They can build things beyond what anyone can imagine. That's what it was said of the Empire of Kel'Raz.
Well then, Counselor Mudbelt's problems may be answered in Carnbaldar.
That's what we in Carnbaldar think.
Our goals are not so different.
I'd say they align perfectly.
Exactly.
We'll see. And he gets his horse moving, and
Yeah.
you guys continue down into the river valley.
Tough nut to crack, that one.
Yeah, you see that there are, in fact, old roads leading to what even you can tell are mines in the hillsides. And you can only guess that you've probably passed in the Black Spine Mountains whole holds that probably were once there. Even the ability to pave that road that you were on was not something a typical human city-state or barony could do. It was like a perfectly hewn stone road, almost like a modern, like, concrete road, and then it went right in mountains, you know. Anyways, let's see. You are able to make it all the way to you get stopped by some dwarven guards, and they have a conversation back and forth, and they ask for a tax, and they want to know where you're going. He says to shy of Carnbaldar and the forest of the Gemthrone wilderness, and they laugh because they think that's crazy, and they claim that the Gemthrone wilderness is infested with monsters now, and you'll be dead probably, and the elves will probably eat you anyway, and but they want 300 gold.
Oof.
Yeah.
Because
I
you're a
have
large
50.
group of people.
I have 50 to my name.
Oh yeah, we gotta ask Countess Yester for bags of gold.
Walking around money.
Yeah.
Oof.
Hmm.
How much do I have on my person? We lost a
got-
lot.
I'm just imagining all of us just like patting our pockets and
Yeah,
only
pretty
got
much.
20.
Okay, you said,
21.
hold on. Ah,
I've just got 21 pieces. That's it.
Okay, so what are we at so far? 71?
we're making a small pile.
We're
It's like-
paying them in pennies.
yeah.
I think I've
It's like
got
count-
30.
Pocket change.
Okay, so we're up to 101.
Helmer just looks at the knights and goes, "Come on."
They look
Everybody
at you
empty
and,
your
like,
pockets,
shrug,
let's see.
You know? They don't have like any appreciable wealth on them. You know, they're probably, silver pennies will get you food and lodging and all kinds of things. So having a handful of gold is a lot of money. But basically, they want, this is almost like an interstate tax. Like this is like you've got like a horde of people on horseback with weapons and all kinds of stuff that's coming into the area, and yeah, it's 300 gold. And they laugh at you that you don't have money and you came all this way.
Tharlan, who can we speak to? This benefits all of us. There needs.
Have you no money?
How about
All of it was stolen. We had to leave the cart behind when we had to
Was-
run. You were
we
there.
had to leave the cart. That's right.
Gems. We
Uh,
still got the big gem.
bet?
We got the what?
The gems.
Big gem.
Oh, the dwarven gems, right? They're heirloom gems that they had, right?
Yeah. You
We're
show
all
them the
patting
gems.
down, then he goes, right! And
Yeah.
hands them
Sorry.
The
3
big,
gems.
big fat dwarf gems. Perfect.
Everybody take their money back.
Yeah. Let me look at that real quick. Let me see here.
I wrote that down somewhere. I'm pretty sure the gems were
How many do you have?
10
10.
that I got written down here.
They laugh and they say that they recognize those purple gems. They come from the Gemthrone wilderness. So here you have this thing that you've gotten from here, and now you're taking it back here, and they think it's the funniest thing ever. And they say that there is a crazy human lady in Carn Buldar who buys them, but you're not getting past her if you don't pay the tax. Or if you do, then we'll hunt you down.
Would it have ramifications if I tried to befriend them?
Yeah, you could try to
Okay.
get past, but you would not be on the right side of the law, right? Which
Yeah,
could
that
do.
would be the problem.
About a wager, and if I don't know.
Okay, where's the closest? Let's go back to one of those abandoned mines. Let's-
You're
If you-
attack.
exactly. See you in about a day or so. I don't know.
BRB adventure.
If you
Well, literally, I mean, how else? What other options are there? Are we gonna wash dishes here for a month? How long does it take to make 300 gold? Honestly,
if you're looking for work, you'll probably have to go back to to Thurngorod. The good news is they are looking for work there.
what does that mean, my good man?
I
I don't think we want to know what that means.
Well, Edward's not afraid to ask. I'm tired of this guy already.
Or I heard you mention the mines, and well, if you don't mind, if you want to try to find some old dwarven heirlooms and sell them in Thurngorod, either way, be our guest. And he points back the way you came.
So, just real quick, I'm like whispering over there. Are these actual representatives, or are these just brigands?
Tharnlin, he crosses his arms and looks down at the ground. He says, "We need 300 gold. Either
So they're not just brigands. I just want to make sure we got that right.
either
Okay.
that, or and he looks at Lara and he says, "If you have that magic, lass, we could pass and stay to the wilderness. We're going to have to go into the wilderness either way, but if we do that, we can't show our faces in Carn Buldar for any reason and for any need."
No, I don't like that idea. I think it's better to do it as honestly as we can. I mean, we're not.
And then that would create 2 groups of enemies potentially.
Yeah, if they're valid representatives, we don't want to.
No, we're gonna
Burn
do.
those
We'll
bridges.
do things their way, just as we've done every other place we've gone. If we have to make ourselves heroes here too, so be it.
Part
Well-
of me is just like, well, this is the highway tax. What if we just don't travel on your highway and we travel next to it?
He points out to the wilderness, which has mountains and river crossing and stuff, and he says, "Be our guest." But okay.
I bow to him and say, "You're very accommodating, sir."
He smiles and nods. Out of character, so we'll bring the session to a close there. You've got two big decisions with a few options. The first decision is how do you approach crossing into dwarven lands and paying their fees? You can either, or you by all means come up with other suggestions if you have an idea, right? But go to Thungaradrum and basically do city intrigue like you did in Brandonsford, where you take on work, like a quest, if you will. Or you can turn around and find one of the nearby mines and crawl the abandoned holds of the dwarves and do a dungeon crawl to try to find treasure. And ultimately, you'll have to go to Thungaradrum and sell it, probably. Or you can try to travel around. The biggest dangers of traveling around is you will have to ford a river at least once.
I hate it. I hate the idea of it. So much could go wrong.
So there are three. Those are three options for paying that. You could also, or if you have any other ideas, you can go back, of course. And then the other question that Tharnlin will pose is, what do you do when you get into dwarven lands? Do you go straight to Carn Buldar and get a thing and get a tavern, get a night at the inn, and gather information, and then launch out into the forest from there to the side of the tower? Or do you just go straight for the tower? Or what do you do when you get there?
We've got representatives from everybody else. I think we should at least make some sort of token effort to include the dwarves in on this alliance.
Well, we need to get a sense of what things are like there, also.
Yeah.
What, culturally, like if anything's,
Would the dwarves share this? I was going to ask, would the dwarves share the same knowledge of the Gemstone wilderness that the elves do?
No.
Or is there... Okay.
But
the stuff that I know wouldn't be
dwarves
known
would
by
know
them.
that you wouldn't also. Like there's like kind of dwarven craft that elves that are beyond elves also. So
Okay.
Yeah, no, that would not be shared info.
Because I'm guessing Ratbite Ben might be the best to run intrigue or information, because they're going to hate the Rangers.
The other thing that is probably Alara knows that is very important is your native peoples are here somewhere in the forest. They're the ones that are rumored to eat the dwarves. The Aine Norne elves. They're like wood elves. They live among the forests, and
the ones with the griffin.
Now, do they only eat dwarves, or do they eat anybody that's not one of them?
That's a rumor. You don't think that's true.
Okay.
What does happen is dwarves disappear.
But they wouldn't be a threat to me
They could be.
Alan, potentially.
So one of the problems. So what they are is they're called the Order of the Builders, I think, or the Guardians of the Tower. Where is the book? What are they called? They're called the Stewards of the Towers, and they guard the Aine Norne people guard these ancient sites, and they are very much a means justifies the ends people. Because they believe what's in the tower is so bad that pretty much they will do any egregious thing if it prevents someone from approaching a tower or meddling with it, Now, that tower could be compromised, so they might be your friend, or they might not. They might not know,
But either way, we will likely have to deal with them to get to a tower, so everyone would need to know about them.
That's possible.
I mean, we've heard about them. They're the ones that are sending the griffin to eat people on the path on the other side of on the western path that we were going. Or is this the same path we were on before when we turned around?
This is like 60 miles away from there.
Yeah, we're east of there.
Yeah, you're on the opposite side.
So when we were making the same journey northwestward, it was the same elves that were sending I think it was a griffin, right? That took our horse, our carriage horse or whatever.
Yeah.
So we already know that they're serious and that they will kill people if they feel it's necessary or just on the off chance. So yeah, that could be a big problem. But anyway, that's later. I mean, for now, I think I'm caller next week, right? So if I'm after Ben.
Yeah, so, yeah, what would you all, really what's more fun for you? Is it...
I want dungeon crawl. I want dungeon
Really?
dungeon crawl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
it
ooh,
was
if I'm
city
calling
intrigue.
So much,
Dungeon crawl.
so much simpler. So we've done a lot of the city stuff. We've done a lot of the dealing with people and their idiot needs and wants and stuff. It's time to be masters of our own fate for once and not have to wait for someone else to say, okay, fine, you've done enough.
Okay.
Yeah,
One thing to keep in
Ben's-
mind is in BX...
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it might be a good idea to go to Thungardrum first anyways, get a tavern, and then launch. And
Yes, fine.
And do the thing.
That's
right?
perfectly
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine. I just don't. I guess what I'm saying is, I am pre-vetoing listening to any rumors whatsoever. Don't feel the need to prep any rumors or any I will look away from any odd-looking characters at the bar.
So, but does everybody else want a dungeon crawl as well? Certainly, there
I'm up
haven't
for
been any.
dungeon crawl because the other option is we go to this place where the dwarves that Darnlin doesn't like so much, and we rob them to get the money.
Yeah, you can of course do.
That's the other
ille-
idea I
there's
had,
an
which I don't think is a
illegal
good one.
route. Yeah, you can do the illegal route for sure.
Ben
Okay.
just shows up the night after we get there.
Problem solved. Let's head out.
So-
Come on, guys.
So here's what I am preparing. I'm preparing. Actually, Thungardrum is already prepared. So you're gonna go there just to get a tavern, and maybe smooth things over with the locals to be like, hey, look, we're traveling. Just leave us alone. And then you're gonna launch expeditions into nearby dungeons. You will have to gather info on that probably, or you'll have to just search. You have to find where these entrances are. And then I will prepare the nearby dungeons that are in the area. Yeah.
Yay.
I'm imagining us sitting down at the bar. You're like, okay, yep. So we're just going. We're passing through. We're just heading to the caves for a bit. Oh, brave adventurers, heading to the caves. Up. No. Shh. Shush, Master Dwarf.
That's great.